Boy don't play. 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 Boy don't play.
What's popping, y'all? So Blueface was out jewelry shopping, and it looks like he got called out by another jeweler because this jeweler got down in the comment section and said Blueface owe him money. Let's pour it up.
Give me my money. No, I'm playing, man. Shout out to Rocky, man. It's worth it every time. He gonna take your money, but he gonna give you diamonds.
If he's selling you a product and you buy it, then I think he's supposed to take your money. But continue.
So, shop with him. The only person I let take my money from. Literally. So if it was anybody else.
I know. Some of y'all are sitting back saying, but Henny, he owes money to Soulja Boy baby mama, Kantabious Traylor, the guy who got pumed in the hand out there in Vegas when he was pewing people out there in the parking lot. And he got that lien that gave him the $20 million in debt and due. Well, it looks like you could add Omar J right onto the list of people that Blueface owes money to. Because when he seen Blueface was with another jeweler, he dropped right down there in the comment section and said, tell him he needs to pay his 100K tab from 2021. And you see, Omar J, he's with Bluemoon and Company. You know, the jewelers that Blueface was dealing with back in the early 2019 era all the way up until I don't know when. But he's responsible for all of the early drip that we saw Blueface with, including, but not limited to, each Blueface pendant that we saw him with, every watch we saw him with, and Blueface was going in there and he was spending cold cash at one point in time. But it looks like at some point, Blueface went up in Bluemoon and ran himself up $100,000. And people have been scrambling to try to figure out which piece it is that Blueface didn't pay for. Because Bluemoon made not only the Blueface pendants like I mentioned earlier, but they made the Blueface nameplate that he had. They made his bandana choker that he used to have. Because you see, a lot of the jewelry that Blueface got from Bluemoon, Blueface no longer is in possession of. Because if you remember, Krishan already told us Blue had to pawn his jewelry. And that's why we haven't seen him with it. Because clearly he missed the date from when he was supposed to pay to get his jewelry back. And because I know sometimes y'all need just a little bit more proof than me just saying something, I've got Whack 100 sitting back when Blueface got robbed at the gas station, confirming that Bluemoon is the place that made all of his Blueface pendants for him. And that if Bluemoon is on the back of a Blueface pendant, because they did press up some fake ones, it's a real one.
And he was wearing this chain that was like a Blueface chain.
No, we did 5,000 of those. They fake.
But on the back of it, it doesn't say anything about Gold Gods, because the Gold Gods ones were the chains that you guys made.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Bluemoon is who the actual chain was made via, right?
This one, no.
And is this related to the scenario where Blueface got robbed at the gas station and then he got charges for shooting out the person who did it?
Hold on. If it says Bluemoon, it's Bluemoon. But if it's Bluemoon, it's not fake. So,
and because I know a lot of people weren't around for that era, guess what? This is a video of the guy holding the Blueface pendant that he stole from Blueface, snatched right off his neck at the gas station. And it has the Bluemoon stamped on the back of it. And now that we've established the credibility of Omar, let's get into how Blueface is able to have some of this money that he has. You see, Blueface has an LLC, and he has all of his monies going to his Blueface LLC, and more than likely is paying himself out of his LLC. Henny, how do you know that? Because remember when he went out with Angela? He paid Angela $4,500 from his Blueface LLC account.
Blueface LLC sent you money.
Yeah, baby.
And now that we've established that he's using the Blueface LLC to funnel his money to him, I think he should know, and y'all should remember, This didn't work out too good for the game. And this is where Priscilla Rainey's legal team were able to track down how all of this money was being funneled around. And this is the court doc here. And it's a final judgment and permanent injunction. And it says it is ordered, adjudged, and decreed. Rainey is awarded judgment on the first cause of action of alter ego liability against defendants Taylor and JTT Holdings. JTT Holdings and Taylor are declared alter egos of each other and liable for Rainey's judgment against Taylor. So what does this mean? It means that the judge came back and he concluded that both the game and his LLC, which is usually supposed to be separated from the person, that they were actually alter egos of one another. Which, if somebody decides to go after Blueface, they could say the same thing, that Blueface LLC and Blueface the artist, aka Jonathan Jamal Porter, are all one and the same. Rainey was awarded judgment on the second cause of action of alter ego against defendants Taylor and F12. F12 and Taylor are declared alter egos of one another and liable for the underlying judgment. And here's the thing. The judge even found, or the lawyers found and submitted to the judge, that F12 and Associates was also the games. And so every single entity that was the games ended up becoming liable for the lawsuit. So if Blueface is playing the same game that Wack had the game playing, it didn't end so well. But let's go back and let's refresh ourselves on exactly how these entities were being used by the game and Wack, so that we could see exactly what may be going on behind the curtain when it comes down to Blueface. Rainey is awarded judgment on the third cause of actions for voidable transactions pursuant to Uniform Voidable Transactions Act against defendants Jones, Taylor, and JTT Holdings, which are the three people, the three places that house went through. The property is set aside and rendered void in the extent necessary to satisfy the underlying judgment against Taylor. Following entry of this judgment, legal title shall be deemed to be held by JTT Holdings as to Rainey. This whole sell the house while it has a lien on it scam was already done before with the game, and it didn't work because the judge had them reverse everything and put everything back to the way that it was prior to them shuffling the house around to try to keep it away from Priscilla Rainey. So Blueface selling his house to try to shuffle it around and get the debt off of him, I don't think that's going to work for him either, but I guess we shall see. Rainey is awarded judgment in the fourth cause of action for voidable transactions pursuant to UVTA against defendants Jones, Taylor, and JTT Holdings. Now we're going to scroll down to here, right? And this is what it says. It says the membership interest of Taylor in the limited liability company, JTT Holdings at F12, is hereby with the unpaid balance of the underlying judgment, which means that they are actually they're making them liable for the judgment, okay? To the extent necessary to satisfy the underlying judgment, JTT Holdings and F12 shall pay any money or property due to coming due to Taylor directly to Rainey until the unpaid balance of the underlying judgment is paid in full. So any money that the game got, JTT Holdings got, F12 and Associates got, it went to Rainey. All of that had to go to Priscilla, okay? So basically, because the game was receiving his royalty checks from Wack through Wack's 100 ENT, I believe it was called at the time still, or it may have been another record label. I gotta go and look. But Wack was paying him from that into his JTT Holdings, and he was paying himself out the JTT Holdings, and the game was also paying his bills out of that JTT Holdings LLC account as well. So if this is the little thing that they've got going on, Wack should already know that this is not going to work out very well for Blueface. But then again, Wack is a crappy ass manager because he's allowed Blueface to accumulate all of the debt that he got into. The game accumulated debt as well and lost his house on top of that. Blueface is going to mess around and follow Wack right down the road into disaster and destruction. Somebody go tap Zilla on the shoulder and tell her she needs to put a bug in Blueface's ear because he needs to move as far away from Wack and these shady business practices as much as possible. Matter of fact, send her the links to all of the game's cases on my other channel so that she could see what happened with all of this whole situation with the game, and see how it's looking like Blueface is being sent out to the slaughter, just like the game was. Allegedly, anyway, because we don't know if that's what's going on or not. We're just going off the content that's given to us. As for Omar, I'll be keeping an eye out to see if he is going to come after Blue for that $100,000 that he's owed. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hype the video if you can, and I'll see y'all in the next spill. Peace, y'all.